What's going on, everybody? This is James Grandmaster Facts Voice, and this is another episode of Facts Project. Today's special guest, Gant, cartoonist, colorist, letterer of the famous webtoon and wonderful comic strip, Beware of Toddler. Thank you for being here, brother.
Yo, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, hey, absolutely, man. Definitely been wanting to talk to you for a while because I feel as though anybody that's doing anything outside of just the basic I guess myriad of superhero comics or just comic art in general, your story is a little bit more unique than most, and I feel like your story, of course, needs to be heard. To get right into it, you started Beware of Toddler when?
It's been 2019. Oh man, it's almost 3 years now. It will be 3 years in June.
Wow, man. And I looked it up. I think as of, man, well, shoot, I think it was like this week. You are now a full 200 comic strips into Beware of Toddler.
Yep, brainstorming 201 right now. Like I didn't think I would get this far, but that's crazy.
Man. So how did a random game of hide and seek turn into a comic strip?
Well, I was playing with my daughter. She was like a little before like it was like right before she turned 2.
Mhm.
And I sometimes like I'll just like hide somewhere just to see like her like try to find me, for her to try to find me. And I hid in this closet one day. Like half of it, it's because when you're dealing with small children, you just need like that second to get away from them. But I uh I hid in this closet because I know like she's gonna take a few minutes to find me. It'll be kind of funny. It'll be kind of fun. But instead of her like struggling to find me, like she just went straight to me. Like I don't know how she knew I hid in this closet, but like she went to me, opened the door, found me, and like it just cracked me up. Um, and at the time I was drawing another comic strip, but I was getting kind of tired of doing. Um, so just to switch things up, I just drew this comic about this daughter. Gave it a quick name, Beware of Toddler, and I put it up on my Facebook page. And next thing I know, like people were just really into it.
Mm.
Um, like even more so, like more than like the previous stuff and the stuff that I was already used to creating and posting at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I did that, and I um I just drew another one, like just based off of something else that she does, and like that thing just took off like gangbusters. Like I got people telling me, "Oh my God, this is amazing! This is my kid. Like this is it. This is like the comic like that you need to create."
Mm-hmm.
And they got to the point where like people that you would not normally associate with reading comics was reading this comic. And from there, I just knew like I had to like just make these and just make as many as I can, and didn't think I'd get to 200, but and 200 isn't really a lot, but for something that just started on a whim, I think it's pretty great. And yeah, here we go. 201. I'm working on as we speak.
Wow. So how old was your daughter when you started putting these comics together?
She was about like when I launched the first one, it was like a couple weeks after her second birthday. But when I like came up with the idea, like really start thinking about it, it was like right before her birthday, like a week before her birthday. So
Mm. So what you said it was like close to 3 years now. So was she almost 5?
she is almost 5. Yes.
It's almost 5 now. Wow, man.
Yeah, we're past that. We're now in the preschool gossiping phase.
I mean, so inevitably for you to brainstorm, like you were saying that I believe in your Kickstarter campaign when you were releasing this for the first time, you were saying as a stay-at-home dad, it was just constant inspiration to write this comic because it was almost different scenarios and a lot of things that were happening. So it was pretty much like easy to find out ways to create the comic, or what, or do you say maybe it was a little bit difficult to kind of like reach around and find things that were actually funny, because you're almost creating this almost as a comedy writer.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the beginning, it was easy because like at first, like things would happen, and I would just kind of write them like one to one,
Hmm.
and they would be funny. Like over time, of course, kids do different things. They get older, you kind of have to switch things up a bit. I went from writing exactly what happened to writing funny anecdotes on what toddlers do. And that's pretty much like where I'm at now. It's just like these characters, what she will do, what dad will do, and I'll just write the stories around that. And like in many ways, it is writing comedy. I All the comics I've ever done, like for myself, the ones I created were comedy. I'm very much like a fan of like animated family sitcoms and comedies and humor. I just that's my thing.
Dope, dope. So, inevitably, like there's a lot of people that describe themselves as comic artists, and a lot of people that just describe themselves as creators in comics. Not necessarily a lot of people describe themselves as cartoonists. Do you have a definitive definition of a cartoonist under your opinion?
Well, I mean, on the base level, just a person that draws cartoons. My Of course, my cartoon art is very like cartoony style. Um, at the same time, I I wanted to be a cartoonist since I was a kid, and it did not have to just be comics, or comic strips. Um, because in my mind, like as a kid, even like the people that drew television cartoons, they were cartoonists. And that's what I wanted to be. And you get older, you realize that those are like more animators and things like that. But
Mhm.
in my mind, as I draw less like I don't really do the superhero thing. That's in my opinion more comic artist. You're part of a team. You're putting together this comic. For me, it's cartoonist. You're doing like small comic strips, and you're doing it all by yourself for the most part. And you're doing this style, like the art style. It's in itself is a cartoony art style. So that's why I consider myself to be a cartoonist.
Mm. So, what were the early inspirations for you to draw the way that you draw in order for you to create exactly what turned out to be Beware of Toddler? Like, what were the early inspirations for you? Maybe like something that you saw as a kid or anything, or early cartoons, maybe that just like bolstered this type of style that you started to draw from?
Oh, well, that's the easy one. With me, like, and this is pretty obvious, like if you just look at my work, but I was very much influenced by Calvin and Hobbes growing up.
Mm,
I was a big Calvin and Hobbes kid. Like I came across a bunch of the books, and like from there, like that's really that's like the main like catalyst behind my art style.
mm-hmm,
Um, the other thing that really inspired me, besides also like the newspaper comic strips in general, was I am a big video game fan.
mm.
Like I am a gamer. I'll admit that I'm a big gamer.
I can tell by the
Um,
headset.
and man, yeah, I'll play all day. I used to play all day, but at the same time, I was also like big into like uh like Nintendo games and like Mario and then Sega and Sonic the Hedgehog. And even within themselves, I've always been like attracted to that kind of art style. And you may not see it in Beware of Toddler, but I've done it in other comic strips that I've created.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like those two, and because I'm a kid of the '80s, you've got to throw in like the Ninja Turtles. I was big on like that stuff back in the day as well.
Mm-hmm.
And but you know what's influencing me more now is like you've got your Calvin and Hobbes, and you've got like your Bloom counties, and you've got your Garfields, and the Sunday morning the Sunday Funnies newspaper comic strips are probably like what has inspired me the most, especially starting out.
Right, right. Yeah, because I can relate, especially with Calvin and Hobbes, because it seems like there's a little bit of correlation between Beware of Toddler and Calvin and Hobbes. Basically in Calvin and Hobbes, I mean, there's an elder, more disciplined person, but it happens to be a tiger, and Calvin just being the more rambunctious one who was getting into all the antics, and pretty much there he's trying to stop him from doing any type of dirt. But storylines like Family Circus, Dilbert, and of course, one of the more famous ones that was adapted on the TV for a very very good long time was Boondocks. Um, but the one thing you don't see a lot of course, black cartoonists that are out there that much anymore. Ever since I would think since Boondocks got off of TV, there hasn't been a lot of black cartoons in newspapers. Ever since newspapers are now like filtered out as sort of a thing, so everything's more digital. So my next question was pretty much more so towards what was the reasoning when you started to release this comic strip, the reasoning why you wanted to put it out digitally? Was it easier for you to push them out on Webtoons as you've been doing recently, as opposed to putting it all together in a full page illustration, which you inevitably did, but more so in the past, like within these 200 comic strips, you've been putting them out digitally. Is it faster for you?
Well, for me, it's less about being faster. It's more about what I'm used to.
Hmm.
Uh, because when I first started like just doing web comics in general, um, around the time I wanted to draw comics, I actually did want to get into newspapers. And I tried. I was not a good artist back, a cartoonist back then, but I tried. And to me, I always felt like I wanted to do that. And when I decided I wanted to do that, at the time, web comics actually became prevalent.
Mm,
This was like around the time of like Penny Arcade and whatnot. And to me, I felt like, okay, this is the future. This is the way to go. Let me do this.
right.
And I knew nothing about publishing a book or anything like that. Like, it didn't take, like, I didn't like actually publish any like books until like 2013. That was like 7 years after I drew my first webcomic.
Hmm.
So there was just like it was a matter of like I simply just did not know any other way. Um, and that's just the way I did things. And that carried over to this day. I drew up the comic, not really with the intention of publishing a book. It's just like the comic can be its own thing. It doesn't really need a book. And then the thing is, like, I had people just asking me about a book,
Mm,
and and I and at this point, I already like published 3 books, and like nobody bought them. So I'm not really trying to do another book. But the
mm,
fact that people are asking me for this book, um, I feel like, okay, maybe like I should do this, and I got to do this.
hmm.
And that's pretty much the only reason why the Beware Toddler book exists, is because there's legitimate demand for it. Um, you can't say no, pretty much.
Right, right. Now, what has been the reception from it? Like, as far as like, I know you've done the Kickstarter, so pretty much you've had, because of the demand, you've been able to crowdfund and make a printed version of your famous webcomic. And then once that got into people's hands, and the reception that you've had from it all along, what was it in the beginning, and how did it mean to what did it mean to you?
Um, I mean, it's crazy. Like, well, first of all, I'm still shipping those books out. I mean, I'm not done just yet, because there are some tiers that I need input from certain backers from, and I'm waiting on information from. So I'm still shipping out the books, but like just seeing like people like read the books, their kids, oh, they love this book, and like to me that warms my heart. But it's funny to me because the book, I never intended this comic to really be for children.
Right.
There's like no language or anything like that in it, but it's just that like half of the comic is told from the side of the parent, and it's more like Here you go. You want to vent about your kids? Read this comic. And
Right.
the other half is for the children. But and they just like seeing the funny pitch. They like seeing the Tyler do funny things. But everyone that has backed the Kickstarter so far, that I know has enjoyed the book. No one's told me anything otherwise yet. But in general, like just with the comic overall, like just like people either love it or they don't tell me they don't love it.
Me
I
for the
know
most
that's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, me for the most part, I think everybody's pretty much giving you a positive description of what your book is. I think for the most part, like I think I was showing it to my fiance, and of course we have a daughter as well. She's 8, so like I'm showing my fiance, and I was like, this is everything, pretty much everything that she was going through, because it's pretty much the same type of mannerisms that of course any type of little kid goes through. So like from and the thing is, it's from a dad's point of view. Everything we see about our kids is absolutely hilarious. You know what I'm saying? So
It
I
is.
can it is, you know what I'm saying? Everything we see about our kids is hilarious to us. Like regardless if they're making a mess and I know I gotta clean it up later or anything like that. I see that as a means for me to get my comedy for the day by pretty much watching my daughter just do whatever around the house. Like I still don't like slime. I don't like Play-Doh. Like but it's everywhere. I understand that. It's fine.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Oh yes.
yeah, man. Like ever since they've allowed children to build recipes to where they could create their own slime, I don't like those people that that made that company. Like that's just not for me, because it gets everywhere.
Okay.
I have carpets in my house. Not cool.
Mhm. Okay. So I don't like the messes. I don't like the messes either. But like I see that stuff in the store, and my first thought is I should get this for the kids, knowing I don't want them to actually have it, but I
Right.
want them to have it. And it's like it's the weirdest thing. Like for us, it's with my daughter it's Play-Doh. With my son, it's like pipe cleaners,
Ah,
and he'll
okay.
he'll just leave like pipe cleaners all over the place. And you don't want them to have it, but it's funny when they have it. So it's like okay. And she hasn't asked me for pay yet, so like that. So I'm okay for now.
Yeah, because for you, it builds up the influence to basically put all this down on page. For me,
That is true.
for me, I gotta get me some Gooby gone.
Oh man, yeah, you got to keep that. You got to keep that in the house all the time.
Definitely, man. So, like, aside from this, I mean, the accolades start rolling in, like Webtoon Canvas Award, a couple Glyph Awards, and then you got a Ringo Award nomination, Rising Star Award. Even though you've been in the game 15 years, but you know,
Yeah, the Ringo
how did
nomination night.
yeah, like how did that feel when you got a Ringo Award nomination? I'm like, bro, that's amazing.
Man, I ain't believe it for a second. I was like, oh snap! Like really? Like I didn't believe it for a second, and then I started thinking, you know what? All those people that told me that this is the comic that I should be creating, maybe right. And like I was all too ready to that tell her, like, hey, look, I got a Ringo Award. Like all you people that believe in me, I wanted to be vengeful and spiteful, but I couldn't. Nah, but um, it was it was that was like the first time that because you know how it is, like people tell you that you should do something, and you don't really believe it.
Hmm.
That Ringo nomination, and I had some Glyph nominations before this, but the Ringo nomination made me feel like, wow, this is it. I'm thinking like there's no way I'm gonna win, but this is crazy,
Hmm.
you know? And to this day, like this is crazy. Like I can't imagine ever getting another one, but that experience, and just like, even like being having my work shown up at the ceremony itself. Uh it was half of it was like virtual or whatnot. So like I was watching virtually. Like some other people were there,
Yeah.
but I couldn't attend. But just seeing my work up there, like with all these like great comics, was mind blowing.
Mm.
And even now it's been a few months, and it's like that's wild. Like this is a Ringo nominated comic. Like this thing I created on a whim is a Ringo nominated comic. So yeah, it's been surreal, man.
Yeah. I mean, for something that basically took inspiration for basically just your regular um everyday antics that are happening within your house, all of a sudden it takes a liking to it. It builds an audience of its own, and then it pretty much is turned into a Ringo Award nominated webcomic. You know what I'm saying? So, like, kudos to you, man. Congrats on that. That
I appreciate it.
absolutely. So, like, it's funny because like I remember just last week, I got a chance to interview Anthony Piper from Trill League,
Oh, yeah,
and
we go back. We go way back.
he said the same thing. Um, so both of you, of course, are from Chicago. And he had mentioned to me because one of the last questions that I asked him was basically, are there any other creators that you know that you looked for all the time, that pretty much their work just like basically like captures you all the time? And the person that he mentioned was you.
Well, wow, that's high praise. I consider him to be like probably the greatest creative mind like in the industry right now.
Hmm.
Like and he's technically, he's doing like some really like good, big stuff right now. But if you think about it, he's still technically new as well.
Yeah.
And he's probably like one of my favorites. One of these days I'm gonna ask him to do something for Tyler. One of these days. But yeah, man, like he's incredible. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah, yeah. The question came around that basically, are there any creators that catch your eye that you always seem to keep an eye on? And he was like, Geo Gant.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tear up.
Yeah, literally the last episode of my podcast. But both of you brothers being from Chicago, um what what does Chicago basically mean to you, and mean to basically Beware of Toddler? What does it mean to your art style, and what does it mean to the comics that you bring to life in general?
Um, well, I don't know like how much it really means to my art style, like in general. One thing I will say, and I'm trying to figure out like the best way to work this is, one thing like about my city, about Chicago is, lately like Chicago has a bit of a reputation. Um, so being from Chicago is one like I like to say that I'm proud of my city. I'm proud of being from here. I hope I can make Chicago proud of me, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm trying to see like I actually do try to incorporate the city like into my comics every once in a while. Um, Not too much.
Hmm.
Um, but I did like a comic where like I did like the mayor, because I don't know if you know our mayor's kind of crazy. Like
Oh,
she
Mayor Lightfoot. Yeah.
yeah, she is the character in herself, and like she's hilarious.
Yeah, that's a comic strip all its own.
Yeah, that's for better or worse, like she in itself could like actually like star in like in a comic, in a humorous comic like of her own. But just like just being like I I don't even know, man. Like I love being from Chicago. Even though we have that reputation that currently,
Hmm.
I love being from here. I love that I can actually rep all sides of the city.
Hmm.
Um, and I hope this like hope the city's proud of me. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Nah. Look, when I look it up, like you're a Hyde Park guy. Like, isn't that the high school you went to? You went with Hyde Park Academy?
I am a Hyde Park class of '01.
See, hey man, you definitely do or die on that end. But to to continue, I mean, is there generally any type of artist or any type of other creators that that you've been more so keeping an eye on lately, as far as like their comic style, or maybe some of the artwork that or comics that they've been putting out there?
Yeah, there's quite a few. A lot of my comic tastes, like leading to like the comic strippy things like that. I've been a fan of Dion Parson.
Hmm.
Um, Very young guy, but like he's very good. Actually mentored by Jim Davis, the guy who created Garfield.
Okay.
Great cartoonist, very nice guy. Like too nice. I want to break that. um, but he's a great creator. Uh, Greg Elsey, creative is not an aware spider.
Yeah.
Um, like fantastic writer. I did one of his books.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Well,
Birthday Day.
birthday day. Yeah, I have that here.
Oh snap! Yeah, that's me. That great guy, just like all around. Um, uh, who else? Andrew Augustine. Um, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Yes. Yeah, that was a fun. That was like the first like full on comic book that I did in years,
Hmm.
and that was a fun experience. Um, we have Greg, we have Dion, Andrew Augustine. He's actually a game developer.
Mm.
He and I go way back, just like Anthony. Um, um, and he does like really great comic art, but he does more game development now. In fact, he's releasing a game like soon called about Ubi on the Android store. Um, One of my favorite creators. Trying to think of some more. There are more, but I'm always drawing a blank.
Nah, not a problem, man. Hey, now since you've been such a gamer for so long, have you ever wanted to dabble in character design?
I've thought about it. Um, I've thought about it. I thought about just flat out making a game.
Mm,
Uh, because outside of comics and things like that, I'm also a computer guy. I dabbled in programming. I built computers for fun. So I thought about doing the whole game design thing, but right now I got this comic. I've got other comics. I've got other things on the way. Like there's no. I've got these two kids, you know, and my wife. There's like never enough time. But if someone came, like if a dev came along and said, "Hey, we like your style. Hey, can you help us with these characters?" Um, if I have the time, I would hesitate. You know.
Dope. Man, now aside from Beware of Toddler, you've done On the Grind, Reset Button, which are both your creations. Is there any continuation of those two, or is there something new that we haven't seen that's coming out in the future?
Sort of. I haven't really gotten that far into it. But with the reset button,
Mm,
I did write and I drew a 24-page comic book.
mm,
I actually want to go back and do it over because I'm not happy with the progress. But I had to stop doing it because I created, Beware of Toddler, and that just went nuts.
mm-hmm.
But I like to do something with that. There's a part of me that would like to do something with On the Grind because I think that the idea of like On the Grind would do like very well. I think a lot of people will relate to it more now
Mm-hmm.
uh, than it did than back when I did it back in like 2008. You know, young black person working in a coffee shop, you get to see all these crazy customers, you get to see all like their quirks, and you have to deal with that nonsense on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
I think like in today's age with all the daily nonsense that goes on every day, I think
Mhm.
would make for a fun comic. But well, one of these days I'll try to revisit those, especially with the reset button because I do have an idea for a graphic novel.
Ah,
That if time permits, I have another project that I'm working on right now that I've got to deal with first before I can even think about that stuff.
got you. Um, do you see if it well, of course, with you continuing Beware of the Toddler, if we get down the line to where there's like maybe another 200 issues that you put out, will there be another Kickstarter?
Um, Maybe I actually have enough content for a second book right now.
Damn.
Um, but like yeah, man, like, it's crazy because like the first book is just the first 100 comics, and then I've got like this whole other 100 comics that I can fill a book with.
Mhm,
Um, I might. Uh, One thing is like with the Kickstarter, that was my first Kickstarter. I've never done it before,
mhm.
so I learned a lot, and there are things that I like to do differently. But at the same time, I don't want to be one of those people that just launches Kickstarter after Kickstarter after Kickstarter. Like so if I do so, it's going to be like some time because um, it's a lot. It is a process. Like even like with the books, like I shipped out most of the books. And I still got more to go, but at the same time, I single handedly shipped out every single one of those books.
Yep.
You know, like while still juggling everything else. So it can happen. It'll be a while,
Mhm.
but at the
Now,
very least, like a year.
okay. Now, what did it mean to you to add the title of children's illustration writer to your mantle, children's illustration artist to your mantle?
Well, actually, that's one of the first things I did. Like one of the first freelance things I did was children's books.
Mm,
Um, I I like being a cartoonist.
mhm.
I can't say I'm very fond of being a children's book illustrator.
Okay. So
Like,
is there cons involved with this? Like is it a difficult subject as far as for people wanting to enter that business?
it's not so much that it's just like it's just a me like personally me thing.
Okay.
Um, like I like I like the challenge of like drawing comics in these panels.
Mhm.
Um, I I don't mind doing like children's illustration books, but like if I do like another one, I'd like to write it.
Right.
Maybe that's where my thing is that all the children's books that I've done were as a freelancer and not so much as a writer. Like even with the Tyler books, I consider that more like that's just a collection of comic strips and less of a children's book, especially since it's more of like an all ages thing, and I want like I want adults to read this and enjoy this just as much as I like children to enjoy the artwork.
Got you. Got you. So if anybody who has never seen your work and wanted to basically like get their hands on Beware of the Toddler, whether it was like any type of pre-orders for the Kickstarter for the print copy, or maybe they wanted to read Beware of the Toddler digitally, how would they be able to do so?
All right. So, if you want to get a copy of Tylerhood, pre-orders are open right now. You can go to tdlrhood.com,
Okay.
and that'll take you to the pre-order page. If you want to read Beware Tyler, you can read it on Webtoon. You can read it at its website at bewareoftoddler.com. Uh, if you follow me at GeoGant or if you follow me at Beware Tyler on like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, all of those, I usually post the comics there as well. Um, and I also have something else going on with Beware Tyler. I can't talk about just yet, but if everything goes well, then you'll have somewhere else to read the comic.
Mm,
But stay tuned for that.
dope. Dope. George Gant, I appreciate you doing this with me. I definitely look forward to seeing exactly everything that you got going for you with Beware of the Toddler and the multitudes of works that you got going on in the future. And I appreciate you doing this with me.
Dude, man, I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime. So from James Grandmaster Facts Boys, Geo Gant, we are out.